Funding for Schaefer Ellis is provided by
Squarespace, the sponsor of today's video. Oh, it is good to be back! A brand new Mario Kart game means it's finally time for a brand new course ranking. Even though I'll have to do it again when they inevitably add DLC, but who has time to wait that long? I want to immortalize my initial thoughts on the courses arriving in Mario Kart World at launch. But with that said, these aren't my rushed first impressions either. I played each and every one of these courses to death. Really refining how I felt about all of them and trying to pull off each shortcut and alternate path in order to see how grand it feels to do so. With that said, I might have definitely missed some stuff because there is so much to these courses. Mario Kart World's thrilling new wall driving and rail grinding mechanics make for some of the most complex and satisfying tracks in the entire series, both in the Nitro and Retro departments for the most part. I'm a little bit mixed on the game's signature intermission segments where you drive from one course to another, but the good news is, we're not gonna rank any of those in this video. I mean, there's like 200 of them. I think that would actually kill me. Nah, we're just gonna focus on the 30 courses as they appear in Versus mode, where you do 3 laps on a certain number of sections without factoring in any intermissions that are a part of the Grand Prix mode. There are definitely some cool intermissions, I won't deny that, but again, there's like 200 of them. If I talk about one, I gotta talk about them all. With that said, I'm gonna be generous and not count it for the purposes of this list, but a bunch of people pointed out that I would be remiss not to talk about the version of Peach Stadium exclusive to the Shell Cup in Grand Prix mode. It is literally just a rectangle. You do 1 lap around it, there are a couple cars in the way, and that's it. That is certainly a contender for the worst Mario Kart track of all time. But the good news is, it's so bad that Nintendo just completely excluded it from Versus mode. You can't play it anywhere but the Grand Prix. If you select Peach Stadium, it just gives you the version from the Special Cup, which is an actual race course. That is incredibly hilarious. So, by virtue of not even being a real race course by Nintendo's own admission, Shell Cup Peach Stadium is excused from this ranking. It would have been last place, so it better count its lucky stars that I'm pretending I do not see it. With that said, we've still got some garbage to sift through here at the bottom. But honestly, not that much. This is a really good selection of courses with very few misses, and I'm pretty happy about that. Makes me wish the game actually put emphasis on the 3-lap races instead of forcing us to pick intermissions online, or try our luck with random, which might give us a 3-lap course we don't like. Such as disappointment in the game of life. Easiest bottom spot of my life. How the hell are we still getting bland, unambitious Super Nintendo course remakes in the year of our Lord 2025? You can't even make the nostalgic throwback argument because Mario Circuit is that. So why the hell didn't they do something to make Koopa Troopa Beach more interesting? They didn't even combine the 2 Koopa Beach courses like we were expecting. This is literally just Koopa Beach 2 from the SNES, and Koopa Beach 1 exists right next to it in the overworld. Throw them together or something, it's not that hard. I guess I gotta give them credit for maintaining the 5-lap status that Super Mario Kart had, meaning this isn't the absolute shortest thing in the world. And the music remix is pretty outstanding. It's almost worth sitting through the tedium of just driving in a circle 5 times, just to hear this bop in the background. The vibes are good, I will not deny that. But like, they went out of their way to include multiple Super Mario Kart tracks as P-Switch missions in the overworld. And those tracks are legitimately more interesting than this one. Not by much, mind you, but at least they're not a damn circle. I cannot stress this enough. Let me make it perfectly clear that you are driving in a circle 5 times. That is the course. $80! How hard would it have been to just include N64 Koopa Troopa Beach? Or literally any course from Super Circuit? Cheap Cheap Island would have fit in very well. Instead, we have what might just be the lamest SNES remake since Mario Kart DS. Okay, that's mean. It's probably a little bit better than the Booster Course Pass version of Mario Circuit 3. But that's all the ground I'm conceding. This sucks. I don't know how you can defend it. Let's move on to something slightly less depressing to talk about.
I don't like sand.
I have never felt more justified being a day 1 Desert Hills hater. Even my friend who likes this course in DS and Wii told me, yeah, this version sucks. I mean, they straight up took out everything. The Pokies, the Fire Snakes, any semblance of Super Mario Bros. 3 influence. Why would you want an angry sun in the sky when you can just have a drawing of one on the starting line? That's basically the same thing. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that despite completely removing the Bros 3 aesthetic, they kind of made up for that by turning the course into a Super Mario Land tribute. I don't think I've ever played another video game that loves Super Mario Land more than this one. And you know what? I don't mind giving that neglected little oddball of a game its time in the no longer angry sun. Having the little Moai statue dudes come at you on the course is pretty novel. I also think they made one gameplay improvement to the track, turning this one straightaway with two pretty shitty hills into a fun field of dunes you can trick off of. That's a plus. Otherwise, I mean, they neutered this place to hell and back, and it already wasn't even good! It's not just removing the Bros 3 elements, the old enemies, or that nifty pyramid at the beginning, it's toning down the namesake of the course itself. Those desert hills were so much steeper in DS and Wii. And here, I mean, you call that shit a hill? It's so boring now. I can't think of a more boring ending to any course when it at least used to be mildly interesting before. You should be ashamed of yourselves, Nintendo. How do you make desert hills worse? I don't understand. But the Doom part is kind of fun and I like Mario Land references, so it's better than Koopa Troopa Beach, I guess. Okay, those are literally the only two D tiers in this entire game. It's a pretty good selection, not gonna lie. Now we're about to see a couple of average courses. Get it? Because it's because it's C tier. I'm gonna go drive off a cliff now. This might be one of the biggest shocks of the entire ranking, but I genuinely do not hate SNES Mario Circuit. With that said, it still ranks third to last just because the other courses are better. I mean, come on, I can't rank it any higher than this. I think if you were gonna bring back any of these three courses though, this was the way to do it. I honestly can't say I'm bored racing on this trio of classic flat circuits, since each lap is a different one. It's incredibly short, even more so than Koopa Beach. And they took out the glider ramp on Mario Circuit 2, and they still neglected Mario Circuit 4, which makes me believe some kind of conspiracy is going on with that place. Does Nintendo just not have the rights to Mario Circuit 4 anymore? I think maybe they sold them to Sega. You're gonna see Mario Circuit 4 show up in Crossroads, that's my prediction. Oh well, all these problems and the general flat blandness of the course aside, I still kind of enjoy myself here now. It's a cute little marathon of 3 courses that would have been boring if we did 3 laps on any of them, but combined into one big track, it's not so bad. With that said, there's no way in hell it ranks higher than anything else, let's be honest.
Here's my little song. Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
Ah, this one hurts. You know how much I was looking forward to Starview Peak? A stunning looking Mario Galaxy tribute where you race through the Comet Observatory? Yeah, it turns out that Comet Observatory shit barely happens in the 3-lap version. It's only at the very end of the course. Instead, welcome back Ice Ice Outpost. My friend and I were joking that this course is like Ice Ice Outpost but good, but then I thought about it more and this course doesn't have a banger music track. It's pretty decent, but it's no Ice Ice Outpost music, that's for sure. And as for the track itself, pick a green or yellow path and get ready for 0 obstacles. Then there's this water path and boy does it look pretty. It's kind of fun going for the boosts. Then you fly through the observatory for 5 seconds and you're done. That was it? I feel like Nintendo just cannot stop dropping the ball when it comes to paying tribute to Mario Galaxy. It cannot be this hard to make a Galaxy-themed course that actually gives you interesting stuff to do. Also, there are a lot of damn Lumas in the background. How hard would it have been to make one of them playable? I would sacrifice Coin Coffer if it meant I got to play as Luma. Whatever. Next.
You know, it's days like this I wish I knew how to ski.
Wow, DK Pass. 3 lame versions in a row. Must be a new record. Well, actually no, you're tied with Desert Hills in that regard. Anyway, DK Pass is still kinda whatever. It really baffles me that they refuse to do anything to spice up this rather mediocre mountain track. I mean, they copied DK Summit's homework and turned it into a ski resort at the end. It's not as good as DK Summit since that course was designed around extreme sports with its half pipes and ramps, but hey, at least they did something to this one. Except that plus is balanced out by the minus of completely removing the snowmen as obstacles from the track. Why? Snowman is in this game as a playable racer. I assume the whole reason he was made playable is because you already had the model from DK Pass. My friend suggested that maybe they remove snowman so that if someone gets the rare Kamek orb item, then it'll spawn snowmen on the track like how it was originally. And if that's actually the case, then what are we doing here, man? The music is still nice and the layout is still fine, but for the most part, I just can't be bothered to care about this one. Mario Kart DS better have a banger fan favorite masterpiece up its sleeve later down the line to make up for these blunders. That's right, I'm hoping for Figure 8 Circuit, baby!
Then you will be cow. Moo?
Honestly, we're already on the B tiers, you guys. I only found 5 of the 30 courses in this game to be subpar in the slightest. With that said, even though I like it, I still cannot come up with a single justifiable reason why Moo Moo Meadows is in this game. If you really want to play Moo Moo Meadows on your Nintendo Switch 2 system, simply boot up Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the 5th best-selling video game of all time, which you definitely own, don't kid yourself. And there you go. It's a version of Moo Moo Meadows, which, quite frankly, looks better than the one in this game. Seriously, I'm not here to have an overall graphical debate between these two games, but I am pretty confident in saying that Moo Moo Meadows looks a lot nicer in the more realistic style. I also just really don't like these lines they added to the side of the road in this new one. I don't know why, they're kinda icky to me. Gameplay and music-wise, these two versions are basically the same. They added a new ramp on the left side of this one part, but took a ramp in the center away. Law of equivalent exchange. And that's about it. Overall, I'm just sitting here completely baffled with the decision to remake this, of all courses. I know everyone loves Moo Moo Meadows, but like, everyone loves Coconut Mall too, and that would have been a sick-ass place in free roam. Why not just give us Moo Moo Farm if you want to keep your Moo Moo quota intact? Don't say it's a boring circle, because Nintendo clearly proved with Koopa Beach that they're not above adding boring circles. I guess Moo Moo Meadows is more interesting than Farm, but I would rather just not have a Moo Moo track in this game at all. Or maybe you can make a new Moo Moo track? I don't know, literally anything but adding Meadows twice in a row. Am I crazy for thinking that's the dumbest decision Nintendo made with these retros? Again, this track is really lucky that I still find it charming and don't outright hate it. I'm not gonna complain if we race on Moo Moo Meadows. I'm just gonna complain when I think of all the other Mario Kart Wii courses we could have been racing on instead. I would rather take Luigi's Circuit. Okay, that's too far. I'm sorry. That was uncalled for.
It's nice to finally be back in Radiator Springs. I want you.
And now for the latest starter track in the series, Mario Bros. Circuit. Some people will tell you this is the best starter track we've ever had. I'll tell you those people are insane. This is no GameCube Luigi Circuit. Come on now. It is pretty comparable to Mario Kart Stadium, though I think I'd also give that one the slight edge because of how novel anti-gravity was to see demonstrated for the first time. I think in my starter course ranking, this is a solid 3rd place. Yes, I can't believe I'm saying that, but it is better than the GOAT Toad Circuit. It's definitely got the most unique theme out of the starter courses, with the whole Radiator Springs style going on. It also offers grind rails for you to use in order to learn how they work. Yeah, I haven't really mentioned grind rails until now. I guess that's a good indication that the courses without any grind rails at all are kind of the weakest ones. Go figure. This course has some pretty simple but effective ones. But the real star of the show here is that alternate path you can drop down towards at the end, which leads to a glider ramp, which allows you to fly towards another platform you can get a boost from. This doesn't sound like much, but by the standards of starter courses, it might as well be mankind's discovery of fire. So yeah, 3rd best starter course in the series sounds pretty good for this one. GameCube Luigi Circuit is truly untouchable though.
Yeah! Peaches got it!
Peach Stadium is the 2nd course in a row on this list where comparisons to Mario Kart Stadium are completely accurate. It honestly has a lot in common with that one, minus the anti-gravity. The thing is, Mario Kart Stadium was a starter course, and Peach Stadium is literally the course right before Rainbow Road in the Special Cup. Look, the Grand Prix in this game are weird as balls. I'm not gonna hold the course's placement in a cup against them. The fact of the matter is, Peach Stadium is decently fun, with some cool elevation changes, as well as a really nifty secret path where you jump onto a rail on the left at this one part, then you jump on this platform on the right, then you jump on this rail and take this turn super fast. Like honestly, this one alternate path is worth the price of admission here. Is there much else this place offers? I mean, not really. There aren't any real obstacles aside from a couple of pipes towards the end. But, look, it's pretty cool. I like the vibe. I'm not gonna judge it for being a Special Cup course and not living up to those standards, like I said. I think it's pretty above the standards of what you can expect from a course with the title Peach Stadium. Like, you kinda know going in that you're not gonna get anything life-changing here. It's pretty solid, and that's good enough for me.
A dandelion.
The coolest thing about Dandelion Depths is how it takes direct aesthetic inspiration from the Wooded Kingdom from Mario Odyssey. I mean, look at that red metallic shit. I know where that's from, you can't fool me. That aside, I feel like this course can stand alongside Cheap Cheap Beach as the textbook definition of good and not much more. It's got an alternate path you access by wall riding, and that alternate path doesn't really lead to anything. It's just, wow, you got a little higher. That's kinda cool, I guess. You got two split roads that don't make much of a difference since they both lead to this gorgeous watery cave where you can bounce and trick off the ripples you create. It's not all that crazy though, and after a pretty nifty uphill boost section, that's it. It was good. The theme was kinda neat. I like it, but I can't justify ranking it any higher, and that's about it.
Wildlife Preserve Africa.
Previously on Schaeferlis's Mario Kart 8 ranking, I pointed out that in the supreme banger music track for Ice Ice Outpost, there's this tiny little snippet that reminds me of the Lion King score. Now, maybe I'm just hearing things. Or maybe I'm completely vindicated because they did it again! In a far more appropriate course, I might add. Faraway Oasis is a pretty cool tribute to the African savannah. And as such, there's this one part of the pretty great music track that I swear to God is a sped up version of this part of the Lion King score. Do you hear it? What, you don't hear it? Doesn't matter, I'm right about this. Anyway, this course is pretty solid, with the visuals and music being especially wonderful, and the layout not being half bad either. I especially love this waterfall part, because it comes at the very end of a course that isn't just a circle, thus completely invalidating Yoshi Falls' entire existence. Why do we need that course anymore? We have a course where you drive alongside a waterfall that's actually good now. Overall though, despite the great theme and optional cool elevation changes, the track is just a tad bit bland and obstacle-less. But how can that be, you ask? Aren't there giraffe and elephant on the course thumbnail? Well, that's the real tragedy of it all. They did go ahead and add a ton of African animals to the game, like zebras and buffaloes, and the aforementioned giraffe and elephant. The problem is, they only appear in the intermissions and free roam, not on the actual 3-lap version of the course itself. Why? Would that have been so hard to put them on the track and not just have them watching from the sidelines? It really is a shame. This course had all the ingredients to be one of the highlights of this game, but it's one of those extremely rare cases where the associated intermissions are a lot more fun and memorable to me than the course itself. No, I'm still not ranking all the intermissions though, shut up. Alright, now to take a break and talk about battle mode. Yeah. Ever since my initial review of the game, I've kind of gone back and forth on this mode a bit. It might be a bit of a guilty pleasure for me, because on the one hand, the maps are pretty lazy since 6 of them are just repurposed racetracks and or the open world surrounding said racetracks. The immovable 3-minute timer also really blows and is pretty much single-handedly holding this mode back from being legitimately good. Also, the fact that there's only balloon battle and coin runners, and you don't get to vote on which one you want to play online, so battle mode is kind of washed there because of how ass coin runners is. But with that said, I don't know, hitting people with shells and popping their balloons is still kind of fun. If they just gave us the option to remove the timer in an update, we might have something salvageable on our hands here. Anyway though, how are the courses? Certainly better than they were in Wii U Mario Kart 8, that's for sure. In fact, I'd say there's more not bad courses here than bad ones, since the nature of the open world means a lot of these are actually decently well suited for battle mode. So, time for the order. Number 8, Moo Moo Meadows. Easily the weakest choice here. It's just way too big with too many branching paths as a result of using the entirety of the race course on the map. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot better than the Wii U Mario Kart 8 version since you can go in the center now. I also really like this barn, it's pretty cool. But otherwise, yeah, I'm afraid this still kinda sucks as a battle map. I mean, they don't even play the iconic Moo Moo Meadows music when you pick it. That's like half the reason to play Moo Moo Meadows in general. Number 7, Chain Chomp Desert. Turns out removing the Thwomp from Thwomp Desert, thus taking out all the cool shockwaves you can trick off of and leaving this map as nothing but a boring desert circle, was a bad idea. The Chain Chomp is a really forgettable obstacle, and the constantly sinking sand makes it way more unnecessarily tricky to line up your shots or grab coins. At least the music is still banging, and it's a lot easier to find people compared to Moo Moo Meadows, which this is already a big step above. But it's still just so lame. Would it have been that hard to finally give us our first Wii retro battle map? Why couldn't this just be Thwomp Desert? What are you doing, Nintendo? Number 6, DK Pass. I love the idea of battling on the ski slopes here, but gameplay-wise, it just doesn't quite come together since a ton of this map involves racing up and down this mountain to find people, instead of everyone being in a closed-off central area. The snowboarding Shy Guys you can mistake as racers you gotta hit can be a bit annoying as well. Neat idea, but not a great execution. Number 5, Mario Bros. Circuit. I could do without the entire race course being included, that's kinda useless and Mario Kart 8 Wii U-ish, but the actual town is a really cool and varied place to do battle in. Weirdly enough, this is probably one of the better maps for coin runners, since there's a lot of nooks and crannies to drive between and grab coins without anyone pelting items at you. With that said, I only like to play balloon battles, so yeah, not a bad map overall though. Number 4, Salty Salty Speedway. Maybe a little too big, and the water is a bit hard to steer and turn around quickly on, but this one has a lot of variety to the terrain, as well as nice elevation changes. You can go to the second floor of this plaza to find foes to target, or even glide across this little pier and catch your enemies by surprise. This one's actually pretty good, not gonna lie. Number 3, Big Donut. This was never really one of my favorite Mario Kart battle maps, but hey, considering this is technically the only returning one in this entire game, I'll take what I can get. It pretty much works just as well as it did in 7. Hell, maybe even a little better, since with 24 racers, you're never not going to be running into people. The glider ramps are still a great touch for you to get from one corner to another very quickly. And yeah, overall this is the closest you'll get to capturing the classic feel of battle mode, until you remember there's a 3-minute timer, and you curse Nintendo for ever giving you false hope they would put any effort into making this mode good ever again. Number 2, Peach Stadium. Yeah, it turns out that awful, pathetic oval in Peach Stadium at the end of the Shell Cup actually makes for a pretty rad battle map, can you believe it? It's not too big, there's no stray racetrack elements left in, and there's a lot of fun nooks and crannies to hide from people and chase others down in. You could go up to the second level, or stay on the first, and even maybe catch a glimpse of a train? Alright, yeah, this one's pretty based. Number 1, Dino Dino Jungle. This is the best one by a landslide because it has dinosaurs. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of all there is to it. It's nice and compact, you can psych people out by going around the dinosaurs or their eggs. There's no semblance of a race course to be found at all here. This one is honestly pretty comparable to the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe battle maps that repurposed assets from certain race courses, but absolutely didn't feel like those exact race courses repackaged. This very much feels like its own thing, and it's kind of a shame it just has to share the same name as the race course. I guess there wasn't much they could do though. I mean, this map literally is a jungle with dinosaurs. So what else do you call it but Dino Dino Jungle? Whatever, it still rules. It's leaps and bounds ahead of every other battle map in this mode, to the point where I'd probably call it one of the best in the series. Too bad about that bitch-ass timer, huh? Oh well, I'm gonna go build a website where I can talk about my favorite dinosaurs to ever exist. Good thing Squarespace can help me with that. Squarespace is a wonderful online website builder that enables you to create beautiful websites for your business or personal hobby. I adore how easy they make it to showcase your expertise and engage clients with video content on your website. You can make stunning video libraries and even monetize your content by adding a paywall. Perfect for online courses, exclusive tutorials, and premium workshops. If you want to get discovered fast, that's where integrated Squarespace SEO tools come in. Every website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions, an auto-generated sitemap, and more, letting you pop up more often on search engines and attract way more customers. Squarespace also offers lots of built-in donation tools. You can create a professional, on-brand website that makes it easy to accept one-time or recurring contributions, and engage your supporters. Use built-in email campaigns and marketing tools to connect with your community and inspire more people to support your cause. Check out squarespace.com/ShayFrillis for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use promo code ShayFrillis to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Bringing back a course famous for its underwater driving in a game where you took out underwater driving is, certainly a choice. I'm gonna be honest, despite the layout mostly being the same, I just think all the aura, all the joy and whimsy Wario Shipyard had in its original iteration is gone now. Underwater driving wasn't really an amazing mechanic from a gameplay perspective, but boy did it help contribute to the atmosphere of the original, making you feel like you were exploring this largely submerged graveyard for pirate ships. Here, if you're not going underwater, it just doesn't hit the same. Water! Atmosphere! I know, nobody goes to a course for atmosphere, they go for gameplay! Well, in that case, you'll be pleased to hear that they kinda flattened a lot of the curves and generally made it less engaging to drive on.
Oh, brother!
They also took out the pipe that gives you a little boost, the glider section when you get shot out of the cannon, and pretty much any semblance of Wario that Wario Shipyard used to have. The yellow and purple colors have been traded out for drab grays and browns, and they just completely removed the Wario sign pointing you to the cannon and the gold he acquired from his gold mine in the background. Why would you want your Wario course to reference Wario? Don't be stupid now. They did add in a single Wario reference that wasn't in the original and made this one cavern resemble him as a pirate. But that comes with the trade-off of losing the fishbone mouth that continued throughout the cavern and resembled the fishbone spine. It's like, is there any unambiguous W this remake has? Not really, because they took out all the W's. The Wario-isms. They're all mostly gone. I guess this course does have a few alternate paths you can rail grind to reach, like the top of the cannon, which then leads to shipmast you can ride on. Honestly though, too little too late. This is a highly disappointing and charmless remake of a course I always thought was really underrated. If I knew this is how they were gonna treat it, I would have sooner just taken it in the Booster Course Pass, since the tour version captures the charm of the original way better. Is it still fun to race on here? Sure, I guess driving on the water has its own charms, kinda. The layout and the theme are mostly intact, and I still enjoy it, but man is it missing a lot of the little things that really made it stand out in 7.
I think you're nuts.
Acorn Heights is one of those courses that I just can't seem to make up my mind about even after all this time. I think it's got a plethora of really fun ideas, offering a ton of vines for you to rail grind on, and this wonderful middle section where said vines are paired with big leaves and mushroom platforms, making for a really fun experience with a ton of options for you to utilize. And then we get to this ending part, and it's just kind of a couple vines that don't allow you to pull off anything nearly as cool as the previous section, and 4 alternate paths that don't really have anything different about them. I guess giant acorns can fall on you, that's kinda neat. I don't know though, it feels like this course has some of the best ideas in the whole game, but then only really goes halfway in terms of utilizing them well. Maybe if the cooler section was what ended the course off, I would rank it higher, but as is, it feels a little lopsided in terms of its creativity and fun factor. It's definitely a good course, and I enjoy a lot of the gameplay and vibes on it, but I don't think it fully lived up to its potential to be one of the all-time greats in this game.
Actually, dude, it's salt.
I'll never get why some courses are attributed to characters while others aren't, even when it's really obvious what character it should be attributed to. There is a Birdo mermaid statue on Salty Salty Speedway. Why can't you just call this Birdo Boulevard or something? How is this even that salty? Is it just because it's salt water? I wouldn't even have known that if you didn't name the course after salt for some inexplicable reason. Ah well, this one's pretty good, though I kind of feel like it's a lesser version of a course that comes right before it in the Grand Prix. The Venice inspiration is lovely, and there's a decent number of alternate pathways, especially this one wall riding bit that leads into an extensive glider segment. Even so, this course can't help but feel a bit on the simple side. That last turn on the water especially just doesn't really have that much going on, I don't know. At least the shortcut you can take on land there is pretty cool. Overall, it's a pretty good and pleasant course with some great vibes and especially lovely music. Not an all-time favorite in this game for me, but I'm usually pretty happy whenever I'm on it. Crown City is kind of an interesting one to talk about. Much like Peach Stadium, it shows up in the Grand Prix mode twice. But unlike Peach Stadium, where they only used the Special Cup variant for Versus mode, and the Shell Cup variant was rightfully yeeted to the Shadow Realm, Crown City saw more of a Mario Kart Tour-like amalgamation of different routes make its way into Versus. So by Tour City standards, it's no Singapore Speedway, but it's probably better than every other one? I forget. Maybe Athens is better too. I don't know. I don't feel like checking. The first lap where you go through the streets and even get to catch some air on an ultra rare half pipe is pretty fun. The big straightaway is kind of okay. I mean, it's a cool visual spectacle, but there's not much to do outside of a bit of rail grinding. The second lap is really cool, going through the top of the city and riding on these solar panels. It all culminates in the exact same big straightaway as lap 1, but this time you glide. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just cooler now because of that. I don't know what to tell you. The last lap feels like you're comparatively winding down. It's kind of just some regular streets leading back to where you started. I don't know. It just kind of feels like this map wasn't perfectly designed for versus mode. The layout of the city probably had more to do with making it fun to explore and free roam, and then they just cobbled a race course out of it. With that said, it was a good cobbling. There's enough varied scenery and fun, unique moments to make this course stand out even among the numerous city tracks this series has had. But to be clear, it's not better than Moonview Highway, my beloved.
Once upon a time there was a railroad line.
Oh my god, you guys, it's the train course! The train course is Wait a minute. You're not Calamari Desert. Yes, Whistle Stop Summit is in fact a brand new train course. One with a far more whimsical vibe in terms of its visuals and music. Perfectly befitting the theme of train. I really like it. Not only is riding alongside the train fun, but the insane amount of rail grinding you can do on this place, coupled with the sheer number of alternate paths you can take down this mountain, make it a real treat. Is it kind of a holding down the A button simulator since you don't exactly need to steer for a lot of it due to these rails? Maybe. But have you considered that it is in fact the train course, so shut up. I think this one perfectly keeps the legacy of train alive, even if it's not the most difficult course in the world. It does at least have some really cool tech you can pull off, and the adventurous and whimsical music here is also a real treat. Even if I don't quite like it as much as the sounds of my beloved Calamari. Speaking of which, can I just take the time to say that the new Calamari Desert remix in World is kind of ass?
Well, this sucks.
That is cinema.
I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I actually really like movies. So to get a course themed around a movie theater, and not just that, a haunted movie theater, is a real treat for someone like me. Right when it was first announced, I knew Boo Cinema would be a favorite of mine. And now that I've played it, I mean, I really do love it, but not quite as much as I would have wanted. The layout isn't bad, but it's most definitely on the simple side without any crazy turns, or even that many cool uses for rail grinding. There is one really cool rail where if you ride on it, Behemoth spawns in front of you, which would have gone really hard on the 3DS. But otherwise, yeah, it's a tad simple. Does that really matter all that much? Nope! I adore the atmosphere of this course. Going into the movie screen and having these old-timey film reels depicting a freaked-out Peach, all as ghosts and bats surround you on all sides. I mean, come on! The black and white aesthetic of the film world is such an inspired touch, and that glide back into the real world takes my breath away each time. Fun fact, I didn't realize the path on the right was the way you came in. I thought you could choose which path you wanted to fly out to, and I always ended up going out of bounds the first 10 times I played this. Oops! Overall, while I do wish I could rank it higher, I absolutely would not call this anything less than absolute cinema. King Boo is the kind of guy that you just know has an insufferably pretentious Letterboxd account, and I would like you to drop it, Nintendo, so I can hate read it as soon as possible. Oh my goodness. Be careful who you call ugly in middle school. It's rare to see a course turn its life around quite as much as Sky High Sundae did. I didn't hate this course in Mario Kart 8, but I definitely found it to be a little bit sloppy and mediocre. It really didn't feel like it was designed with anti-gravity in mind. And yeah, that's even clearer to me now. I fully buy into the conspiracy theory that this was a Mario Kart World course first and foremost, and they just put it in Tour and 8 Deluxe as a little sneak preview, considering World has been in development for like 8 years. My evidence for this hypothesis is, dude, look at it! It's one of the courses that leans the absolute hardest into rail grinding and wall driving. I mean, there are just so many opportunities for it. Too many to even list. The amount of alternate pathways on this course, which, let me remind you, is a remake of a course famous for not really having a lot going on, is staggering. And the visual fidelity has also been stepped up considerably, not just in terms of the graphics themselves, but the way these tasty treats exist as different platforms in this course. It's so creative, delicious looking, and most importantly, insanely fun to drive on. This course makes even a novice player feel like a pro with the amount of wall driving flips and tricks they can pull off. The only reason it doesn't rank higher is because, at the end of the day, it is still just an oval technically. It's not like the layout is all that inspiring with that many crazy twists and turns. But the sheer amount of things to do on this course means that no 3 laps are exactly alike. I'm immensely proud of Sky High Sunday. I knew this course had it in them. Now, if the next game could also make Merry Mountain interesting to play on, that would be great. And now for the extensive roster of A tiers, which consists of almost half the courses in this game. Yeah, that's pretty impressive, not gonna lie.
Hey folks, John Madden here.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I genuinely really love the new Choco Mountain. I don't know, normally I would be completely against throwing the original theme in the garbage. I mean, I'm not really fond of the Mario Kart 8 version of Cheeseland for that very reason. But I think an easy exception can be made here since Choco Mountain is one of the most remade tracks in the series, and we just got a faithful recreation of it in the Booster Course Pass. With that iteration being so easily playable on the Switch too, I don't mind this recreation, nor do I even think it wastes a slot. I think they do enough cool things with this remake to really justify its existence. The oil field theme is pretty neat and fits in with the whole half-constructed stadium vibe they've got going on here. It works a lot better here than it did in LA Laps, that's for sure. And the abundance of charging chucks running and jumping around and kicking footballs at you makes for such fun obstacles. Hey, maybe they're building a football stadium here. I just got that. I just picked up on that right now as I was writing the script. Yeah, I don't know. Neat theme, what can I say? It's something different and a fairly cool way to bring a classic course back. Plus, it really helps that the layout isn't simplified in the slightest. I think that, combined with the aesthetic overhaul, is what made people despise Sky Garden in the Booster Course Pass. But here, even if it looks different, I would recognize these twists and turns anywhere. Turns out, I do like Choco Mountain for its layout as well as the original chocolatey look. It wasn't just me being biased by the aesthetics. Add on a pretty bangin' music remix that would sound right at home in Smash, while also suiting the macho football vibes of this place really well, and you've got a remake that I was skeptical about at first, but ended up being a real winner at the end of the day. I do love me that original chocolatey look, but like I said, we just got that. So there's nothing wrong with doing something a little different, is there?
Fishy in the sea.
Cheep Cheep Falls may not make much use of Mario Kart World's killer new mechanics, those being the wall driving and rail grinding, but man is it exciting as hell even without them. This course includes a fast and fun as hell descent down rushing water that can be tricky to steer through, but an absolute blast and a half once you get the hang of it. Graphically, it's a wonderful showcase for the game's amazing looking water, on top of the wonderful Japanese aesthetic and music. It's a little hard to think of stuff to say in terms of why I love it, since it really is as simple as rushing water is fun and exhilarating. I don't know, it may look simple on the surface, but actually playing it and getting to experience these crazy rapids is a whole nother story. The best Cheep Cheep course by a landslide. I know, right? What an accomplishment given its crazy competition.
Donkey Kong.
DK Spaceport is one of the easiest courses in this list to sing the praises of. Like, gee, I wonder what's awesome about a futuristic recreation of the classic Donkey Kong arcade game, complete with a robotic Donkey Kong chucking barrels at you. Each part of this 6-section course is a unique and immensely fun challenge. You got the opening where you get to take it all in, the second part where you jump over barrels like the good old days, the third part where you trick and boost over them, the fourth part loaded with grind rails, the fifth and probably best part where you really go to town with the wall jumping, and the grand finale where you overcome Robo DK's big ass barrels and make it past him, only to fly off into the sunset. This is such a creative idea that goes past paying homage and really becomes its own amazing thing. It's like a boss battle version of a Mario Kart track. You're never quite doing the same thing twice in any of these sections. They're all fun despite all being straightaways. There are oil barrels just like in the original arcade game. Oh wow, this is such a loving and wonderful tribute and a real all-timer course in its own right. I'm just proud of Donkey Kong for finally getting a new course that isn't a mountain or a jungle. Was that really so hard, guys? Why did it take 6 courses for him to get something kinda unique? And now it's time for another quick break from the regular racetracks. Yeah, I still don't feel like ranking every single intermission, but I figured I could give some of them the light of day by talking about every one of the knockout rallies. This is a really fun mode where if you don't get at least a certain placement at a checkpoint, you're eliminated. There are 8 different knockout rallies that go through 6 different courses each, and the intermission routes between them. And while the focus in this mode isn't really about the tracks you're racing on and is more so about killing other players with items brutally, if you pay attention to where you're actually racing, some of these routes are significantly more fun and exciting than others. So I'm ranking them too. Number 8, the Ice Rally. This one starts out pretty cool and cohesive, going from Sky High Sundae to Starview Peak to the slopes of DK Pass really seamlessly. Once you're done with the ice parts of this Ice Rally though, it becomes pretty generic and forgettable, honestly. There really isn't much to say about any other part of this marathon, especially since you don't really spend much time on any of these tracks. The ending on the center street of Crown City feels a bit odd as well. It doesn't really seem like a conclusion, but oh well. This still isn't bad, just the other ones are better. Number 7, the Cherry Rally. This one has its fair share of cool moments, like an awesome stretch near Dino Dino Jungle where you encounter all of its dinosaurs, or this part where the Robo DK from Spaceport appears to chuck barrels at you. Other than these high points, it's pretty standard, but then it culminates in the most flaccid ending imaginable. A reverse version of Desert Hills. Yeah, shockingly, this is not any more interesting than doing this bitch-ass course the normal way. Prepare to have a terrible taste in your mouth if you see this one through to completion. You might as well get eliminated in the 5th round to spare yourself the tedium. Number 6, the Golden Rally. I'll always have a soft spot for this one since this was the first thing I ever got to play in Mario Kart World at one of the special demo events. It's a nice simple starting rally with no real problems. It just ranks this low because it's pretty standard by design. The first half is incredibly grounded like a Route 66 simulator, and the groundedness continues with Moo Moo Meadows and Mario Circuit. I especially like all the cows on the road. That's fun. It ends off with Acorn Heights, which is kind of your first more fantastical glimpse at what the rest of these knockout rallies have to offer. This is a good way to start, but the rallies certainly get better from here. Number 5, the Acorn Rally. This one makes use of a lot of fun courses, and I especially can't get over how damn slick the transition is between the backlots of Toad's Factory to Wario Stadium. One of the single coolest moments in any of these rallies. It's like, oh, that was there the whole time, no way. I like the bits near Choco Mountain and Cheap Cheap Falls as well. But sadly, I have to dock some points because the ending, just being a normal lap around DK Pass, is incredibly underwhelming. 30 courses to pick from, and one of these ends with DK Pass, and another with a reverse Desert Hills. Get real, you guys. Number 4, the Heart Rally. This one definitely peaks at the start when you traverse the desert, only to get shot out of a cannon straight towards this awesome segment near Airship Fortress. It's so damn exciting and invigorating, both visually and gameplay-wise. After that, it's pretty good. I like how it incorporates parts of Mario Circuit 3 and Moo Moo Meadows, tying back to the Golden Rally since that was the first one and this is the last. And heading back to Peach Stadium as the grand finale of it all makes a ton of sense. Definitely a great one, though it's hard not to think about how epic the opening segment was the entire rest of the time you're playing it. Number 3, the Spiny Rally. Alright, this is where the rallies really get great. If I'm playing online and I see one of these top 3 icons, it'll make me say out loud, ooh, that's how you know we got some bangers. This one feels like a real journey. I mean, they all do obviously, but this one especially. Scaling that narrow, snowy mountain as the Typhoons try and blow you off is an absolutely breathtaking experience. And I love going from the snowy areas to the more beachy ones, with the Salty Salty Speedway and Peach Beach segments being incredibly fun. But nothing compares to the sheer awe of seeing that whirlpool on the approach to Wario Shipyard. I remember my jaw dropped at how cool it looked the first time I saw it, and it's still cool to this day. Yeah, Wario Shipyard isn't the best course in this game, but it's a very fitting ending thematically after seeing the much nicer looking water and ice courses courses. It also ties back to how you started outside Boo Cinema, starting and ending with a spooky location. A fun time that also feels super cohesive. Number 2, the Moon Rally. This one's got some of the best variety between intermission segments and basically full laps on classic courses. Like Toad's Factory, anyone? Before we get there though, the opening Bowser's Castle bit is really cool, and it leads into the aforementioned factory incredibly nicely. Any excuse to race on this iconic course is a good one in my book. We then drive to Moo Moo Meadows and do part of a lap there. Then later on there's an insane jump onto Cheep Cheep Falls, all culminating with running alongside the Buffalo as we conclude on Faraway Oasis. Not a bad course to end on, but there are stronger ones, and I feel like this would have been my number 1 rally if we ended on more of a banger track. Still, the variety in terms of the scenery and normal course laps versus intermission segments make this one of the most fun by far. Number 1, the Cloud Rally. An unbelievably easy pick for the top spot. This one starts with a bang, literally, having you shot out of a cannon and leaving you to traverse the fun parts of the desert, like Chain Chomp Desert and Shy Guy Bazaar. There's also this really fun extended sequence on a bridge with a lot of traffic to dodge. You get to run alongside zebras near Faraway Oasis, and then you go in this mystical whirlpool and take to the skies, only to end things off on Great Question Block Ruins. A great course. This one has one of the best starts and endings out of all the rallies, and the middle is no slouch either. It's pretty wonderful all around, and the best rally in the game. Okay, back to the top 10 race courses in Mario Kart World, baby!
Welcome to the sun-drenched tropical paradise of Isle Delfino.
Going into this game, I could not for the life of me find any pre-release footage of Peach Beach. And the little I did find, I don't recognize it. I guess it kind of looks like Peach Beach if you squint a bit. Fingers! Whatever, I'm sure they know what they're doing with it. And boy, did they ever. Holy shit, they gave this course one of the most awesome expansions I've ever seen a retro track get in the whole series. Forget Calamari Desert in Mario Kart 8 letting you drive on the train tracks. You could do that in the original as long as you're okay with losing the race. But Peach Beach getting an entire new, gorgeous vacation town for you to explore on laps 2 and 3? Where the hell was this hiding all these years? Did it exist in Double Dash off-screen, or was this a new expansion Peach commissioned? I don't know, man, but holy shit, this is amazing! Okay, let's start from the top. The first lap is as classic as ever. Pretty nice, relaxing, and nostalgic. And they kept the Cataquacks. I am so happy the species isn't extinct after all these years. It truly is a miracle. Toadsworth definitely died though, but I digress. On lap 2, you're ushered into a whole new world. A new fantastic point of view. An amazing summer villa where you can wall drive and rail grind to your heart's content. It feels and looks amazing. And it all gives way to an awesome glider segment kicking off lap 3, where you leave the villa and go through this last stretch of the water that... Okay, yeah, I'll admit, maybe this could have used a bit more stuff going on. I might have ranked this course higher if this part was a bit more interesting. Instead, this portion feels like a bit of an intermission. But that does very little to dampen what a wonderful expanded remake this is. The surprise factor is awesome, yes. But even when the surprise wears off, you're left with a large and incredibly fun track with so many cool tricks to pull off and an immensely strong vibe. I always love racing on this one. It's easily the best showing Peach Beach has ever had, and I sincerely hope they never take this new section out when they remake the track in another 20 years.
Now eventually you do plan to have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right?
Well, if it isn't the retro course I said I was the most excited for in this game, Dino Jungle. This is the best version of Dino Jungle by a landslide. My biggest complaint before was that the dinosaur themed course only revolved around a whopping 1 dinosaur. And holy shit, we have 4 now. Triceratops you can trick off of. T-Rex coming at you gotta avoid. The OG who moves to different locations on each lap. And the other one you can grind rail on the spine of. What a glow up! I especially love just how much each lap differs based on where the dinosaurs are. Changes between each laps are always welcome, and I wish more courses would implement them. Oh, and of course, the new Jurassic Park theme is incredible. Absolute cinema. Wait, I already said that. It's crazy how if Steven Spielberg's dad was never cucked by Seth Rogen, he never would have grown up up to be such a great filmmaker. Thus, he never would have made the original Jurassic Park. Thus, meaning Dino Dino Jungle would never have this cool laboratory theme in Mario Kart World. Thank you, Seth Rogen, for that. And for voicing Donkey Kong, I guess. As much as I do love the new look of this place, I will admit there was a lot of charm in those original prehistoric bridges and the temple you go into. But much like Choco Mountain, a bit of a reimagining doesn't really hurt, considering this course has already been faithfully remade before. Might as well take a bold swing with this latest version. And in my opinion, they hit it out of the park.
I come.
Holy hell, Shy Guy Bazaar kinda came out of nowhere in terms of smacking me in the face with an outstanding remake. The layout is pretty much exactly the same on the surface, but not only did they give this a magnificent aesthetic overhaul that evokes Super Mario Land yet again, but they also added a truly absurd amount of alternate pathways and rails for you to grind on. It makes me feel like I'm in the one jump ahead scene in Aladdin, zipping from rooftop to rooftop with crazy maneuver after crazy maneuver. I don't even know why they went so all out with this course. I guess they figured, hey, it takes place between densely packed buildings anyway, so if there's gonna be a lot of wall driving opportunities, we might as well throw in some rails for you to really go nuts on as well. I have had so many exhilarating races on this course that I never would have expected based on its pretty decent foundation. And don't even get me started on the aesthetic glow up. I mean, those are damn elephants holding up the starting line. Are you kidding me? Retroactively making this course a part of Sarasaland was such a stroke of genius. And the fact that Daisy's Palace is a playable race course in one of the intermissions here is incredible. I'm not ranking that, but I did want to give it a shout out regardless. Honestly, I can't really think of any downsides with this remake. I mean, they even kept in the moving pots. For a game that removed the fire snakes from Desert Hills and the snowmen from DK Pass, that's pretty impressive in all honesty. As much as I liked Wario Shipyard better originally in 7, Shy Guy Bazaar far outshines it here, establishing itself as one of the shocking highlights of this game's entire track roster.
I'm questioning the question mark!
Oh, they cooked with great question block ruins. Actually, saying that out loud, maybe they didn't. What the hell kind of name is this? See, would it have been so hard to name this after a character? Toadette Ruins, I don't know. She canonically explored it with Captain Toad. There you go. Anything would be better than Great Question Block Ruins. That's so dumb.
That is a dumb name.
Anyway, this course rules. There are so many rails and alternate paths, and it also just feels so exciting being so high up in the sky. That last glider part where you boost through the cloud rings is exhilarating, and that's something that just happens to you on every lap. How about some of the optional exhilarating stuff? Like boosting onto this one wall, jumping off of it, and then landing on a curvature of the same wall in order to get on top of this rail, which allows you to glide. It feels awesome to pull off. And there's so many more islands that you can do crazy optional maneuvers to reach. It's a course that I can't wait to see speedruns on once people develop more and more insane stunts for it. Definitely one of the biggest winners out of the new courses in this game.
None of this is good, Vector. That's why it's called war.
Airship Fortress, baby! Okay, it's no figure-8 circuit, but it'll have to do. This might be the single greatest visual glow-up any of the retro courses in this game have received. I suppose being a handheld-only course making your home console debut will do that to you, but even then, wow is the detail on this place exhilarating. What an absolutely wonderful-looking and insanely dramatic trek through this airship and this fortress. It's just as good as it's always been. Though, I'm not so sure about better, particularly from a gameplay perspective. Nothing about it is a downgrade, aside from the minor removal of a couple of crates in the engine room, but I feel like it can't really justify placing this course higher because it doesn't really take advantage of the new gameplay capabilities World has to offer. You can ride a couple chains and rails, but they're not really anything substantial. And as someone who always hesitated to rank this course in S tier because I found that one last big turn in the fortress a little bit boring with not much going on, I am here to report that it's basically the exact same. They still don't do anything to this turn. And as such, I don't think this is the version of Airship Fortress that finally makes S tier for me. sorry. Is this course still a blast and one of the absolute best in the game? Oh, for sure. But you could also argue that it's starting to show its age a bit in the gameplay department. I mean, this is a 20-year-old course that debuted in a game where tricks didn't even exist yet, and they haven't really taken the opportunity to add too many trick ramps, let alone take advantage of the unique gameplay features of Worlds. I love this track just as much as ever, but just as much as ever means it can't quite make the top of this list.
That's a good trick.
They did it. Guys, I can safely say, with no exaggeration or hesitation, that the Mario Kart World version of N64 Wario Stadium is the single most improved retro track in the entire Mario Kart series. I don't even need to check my math on that. They took what is easily the worst course from Mario Kart 64, a boring, bloated mess with nothing interesting on it, and they turned it into a thrilling, tightly designed, unbelievably fun, perfect showcase of the brand new mechanics of Mario Kart World. Let me run that by you again. A remake of a Nintendo 64 track from 1996 is perhaps the single best new showcase of the brand new mechanics of the Nintendo Switch 2 installment of the Mario Kart series released in 2025. You might look at this course on the surface and say, oh wow, big whoop. It's a normal stadium with a bunch of trick ramps, who cares? And then you realize that because of the abundance of trick ramps, you can basically get on the wall and ride it at any point in the track. And they accounted for this in the design with so many rails leading to more rails. There's so much crazy shit you can pull off here. All as you listen to a stellar rendition of that classic N64 circuit theme and make that magnificent, gigantic jump through the flames that burn bright with the heat of passion the game's developers inexplicably poured into remaking this course. I'm absolutely floored with this rendition of Wario Stadium. It should not be this fun. It just feels impossible that they nailed it to this extent. Yeah, the funny Wario heads decorating the sidelines are gone. That's a bummer. And yeah, they significantly shortened the course. That's also a bummer. Wait, no it's not. The original length of this course was abhorrent. It went on for way too long. Whereas this new version is paced absolutely flawlessly. It's never dull, thanks in large part to the abundance of crazy maneuvers they make possible here. To say it was worth the wait for Wario Stadium's grand rebirth would be the understatement of the century. I adore this remake to no end, and I couldn't be happier that it finally lived up to its true potential.
Everyone loves you!
I know!
I know!
Rainbow Road in this game is kind of hype moments and aura the course. You could argue that this track isn't really an S-tier experience because it makes absolutely no use of wall driving and rail grinding, which is the big new feature of this game. Seriously, you could argue that, but nobody seems to be doing so. Everywhere I go on the internet, this track is glazed to no ends, and like, I get it, I really do. It's in my personal top 5 for this game after all. But come on guys, it's not the best in the series or anything. I wouldn't say it's just the lack of these killer new mechanics, or the fact that it's generally pretty easy by Rainbow Road standards. I also just kind of think this whole second portion is a bit odd. Why is there a bunch of water here? Why couldn't this have just been part of the lead up to this course in the Grand Prix? It's a strange pace breaker, even if it is visually enchanting. Would you guys still be mad at me even if I said that's where my criticisms end? Holy shit, the rest of this course is absolutely stellar! They remix and combine a lot of ideas from the previous Rainbow Roads, like the space station from 8, that's thankfully a lot better here. Or this straightaway section with rainbow thwomps, reminiscent of Super Mario Kart's Rainbow Road. Actually, it also reminds me of this portion from the final level of Mario Galaxy, which I don't think was intentional, but it's neat nonetheless. These moments where you fly through space in between sections are simply breathtaking. And yes, this all culminates with perhaps one of the most magical moments in the entire Mario Kart series. The final lap fanfare sounds magnificent, and it pairs with this unbelievably gorgeous rainbow spiral, ushering you into the final stretch of the course. And then you see the train with a bunch of other kooky characters from previous tracks. Oh my god, what a magnificent celebration. The colors, the music, the admittedly simple yet incredibly effective gameplay. It all comes together for an unforgettable final lap that ends off an amazing course. I just don't think it's perfect or the best Mario Kart track, sorry. I think Mario Kart 7's Rainbow Road is superior because of how cohesive it is. A space adventure where every portion perfectly leads into the next, where the moon and rings of Saturn pair perfectly with the road itself. Here, I don't know if the water and the space station are as natural fits by comparison, even if I do love the latter. Honestly though, I don't think there's anything wrong with calling this an A+ course instead of an S tier course. The difference is hilariously minuscule, so if this placement makes you genuinely upset, please get your life in order and then you can leave a comment. Thank you.
That's the great and terrible Bowser.
Bowser's castle in this game is an absolute thrill ride. It just feels faster than nearly any other course in the series. Maybe it's because of these motion lines on the screen and they're just tricking my brain. But if that's the case, then it was a good call adding them. No, but seriously, this place is tricky as hell. I love the opening going through this laboratory-esque portion of the castle, or riding these chains up to the Bowser food court instead. It all leads into this sick-ass storm tunnel which spits you out into the main bulk of this track. An absurdly narrow road where you have to pray to God you can stay on as you do your best to only graze the lava. This course really benefits from the change they made where you don't immediately die from touching lava, so you can easily boost across with mushrooms as long as you get back to solid ground as soon as possible. I love this ominous Bowser statue overlooking the course, and I especially love that it isn't just another giant mechanical Bowser for the 4th console game in a row. He's just a decoration, and that's a refreshing change of pace since I am so sick of these things. We end off with meteors falling along this split path, a glider segment, and then bada boom, you're done. This is one of those courses that always leaves me needing to catch my breath at the end. It's just an absolute thrill ride and an amazing integration of this classic course archetype. Not sure if it's my all-time favorite Bowser's Castle in the series, but it's definitely up there.
They're gonna shut down the factory!
Now for the 2 S tiers this game's got to offer. After 17 long years away, finally, the prodigal son has returned. I don't consider myself to be a very nostalgia-biased individual. My childhood Mario Kart was Wii, but if one of the courses from that game gets a subpar remake, I'll call it out. I did it for Coconut Mall and Koopa Cape in the Booster Course Pass. I don't hand out free points to Mario Kart Wii remakes just because they're nostalgic to me. So it is with great pride and pleasure that I report that the Mario Kart World remake of Toad's Factory really is that bitch. The original course was an absolute banger, one of the greatest to ever do it, and this remake largely maintains that status without any real downsides. The conveyor belts still make for compelling split-second decision gameplay, the aesthetics and theme are still wonderfully creative, the music is as majestically on point as ever, it's exactly as thrilling as it was back in the heyday of Mario Kart Wii. Until we get to the ending. There's an addition to this final stretch of the course that is so simple and yet so unbelievably outstanding in terms of the magnificently slick gameplay opportunity it provides. Once you make this big jump and get ready for the mud pits, you'll notice a crane holding up a construction bar on the side. And you start to realize, oh, that's grindable. Let me grind on that now. So you do that, picking up speed as you jump to another nearby construction bar, offering a tight and thrilling shortcut that allows you to rapidly overtake this corner and land on the final stretch with the dump trucks, which, by the way, have tons of trick opportunities and grind rails on them. This last portion of the track is phenomenal every single time I drive it. It really never gets old pulling off these uncomplicated yet still insane feeling stunts. So for this course to perfectly match the level of the supreme S-tier banger that was the original Toad's Factory, and then to surpass it in this final moment that perfectly takes advantage of World's unique gameplay mechanics, I mean, that's kind of a done deal, right? How can I not call this one of the absolute finest courses in the entire game? Again, It's not nostalgia. Most booster course versions of the Mario Kart Wii tracks are worse than the originals. Moo Moo Meadows in this game is slightly worse than its Mario Kart 8 version. I'm not just uncritically calling Toad's Factory one of the best courses in Mario Kart World just because I liked it when I was 10. I mean it. I've carefully considered the matter and determined that it is one of the most fun courses to play in the entirety of Mario Kart World. Even if it doesn't consistently make use of the game's new mechanics quite at the same level as some other remakes. That's what happens when the foundation you build upon was practically flawless to begin with. I love you with all of my heart, Toad's Factory. Please never leave me again. There's so many alternate paths. Oh my god, there's just so many! It took me a while to really narrow down what I consider to be the best course in a game with a plethora of bangers. But in the end, I feel like no course quite captures the ingenuity and unlimited potential of Mario Kart World's gameplay quite like Dry Bones Burnout. On the surface, it's a pretty cool looking lava track with a killer Mexican aesthetic inspired by Day of the Dead. What an incredibly creative idea. But if we learned anything from Boo Cinema, it's that you need more than an awesome theme to really stand out. Luckily, the actual gameplay of this course is somehow even better than the aesthetics. As you navigate this bony track, you always got at least 2 different options for which path you want to take. And chances are, if you fall off at any given point, you'll find yourself on another path you didn't even know existed. This path then dictates whether you'll take the upper or lower glider ramp. And both of these floors have multiple paths of their own, either through these normal driving platforms or grind rails that you can then use to trick off walls. And one of them leads to a secret glider path you didn't know about, which then leads to an entire upper portion of the starting line you can race on. It's just unfathomably thrilling. There are just so many things you can do here. So many sections you can chain together, making for some of the craziest and most satisfying gameplay you can get on any Mario Kart course. Couple that with an incredible theme, and you've got quite the amazing debut course for Dry Bones as a character. Easily my favorite in Mario Kart World. So far, at least. I just know it's gonna get usurped by the DLC remake of Figure 8 Circuit, baby! Nah, but seriously. It really was an absolute blast to rank the courses of a Mario Kart game again. I really missed this. Genuinely, I think Mario Kart videos are my favorite kinds of videos to make. And I like when people shout me out as that guy who talks about Mario Kart. So yeah, you better believe I'm gonna be making more videos about World in the future. I think a character/costume ranking is definitely in order. And maybe I'll think of some other stuff to tide me over until DLC is inevitably released for this game. At least, I hope it is. What else am I supposed to rank all the courses of? Mario Kart Live Home Circuit? Actually, that could be peak. Maybe I will do it. Until next time, good night, Mushroom Kingdom.